Hi, my name is John. Thank you for joining me. I wrote this piece, Why is Life So Hard, a number of years ago, and having come across it again recently, it looks even more appropriate now than it did then, if that's possible. So here it is, Why is Life So Hard? Have you ever wondered why life just seems so hard at times? If it isn't struggling to pay the bills, it is Armageddon on the television, or people bitching on reality TV shows, or some potential calamity on a soap opera. So much so now that we are encouraged by those media gurus to believe this is normal life. Television news and newspapers are continuously warning us about how bad things are, or even worse, how bad they could become. To top it all, there's always some possibility of war, or war going on somewhere that requires our patriotic support. What does this all add up to? Distraction. In today's world, images flash before us and we are constantly bombarded by sound bites telling us what to think, what to do, and what to buy. Because of the high-tech world we live in, it is incredibly simple for the super wealthy to manipulate things and to ensure that those who have very little or nothing stay where they belong, at what in the super wealthy's opinion is the bottom of society, where the poor can be rolled out whenever required, to show that the super wealthy, and I should also say here that they believe that they are also the super smart, and their minions have a job in front of them to make things better. Well, they've been saying this for so long now and things just get worse. The interested parties who create this unsettling environment know exactly what they are doing. They are constantly pricking our imaginations with subtle fear, and then our brain takes over, creating monsters from the shadows which we have allowed to be transmitted to our minds. People who live in fear are much easier to control than those who choose to ignore the constant fear-induced propaganda. Here are some examples. The cost of fuel is increasing. The cost of energy is increasing. The cost of food is increasing. Murders, assaults, rapes are on the increase. The police, fire and medical establishments are all underfunded. The greenhouse effect is killing the planet. Terrorists could be living in the same street as you. Cancer is a growing concern. Our charity needs more money. Our education system is not producing the results we wish. Our government is doing its best. Look at the starving people in Africa and realise how lucky you are. And this one gives you an idea of when I originally wrote this piece. AIDS is spreading and it is an act of God. And now, COVID. Need I say more? I read or heard this many years ago. Enslave a person and they will always seek freedom. Whereas with religion, tell them that you speak for God and that their immortal soul is in danger if they don't do what they are told. Thus their souls are enslaved and they will do what they are told for life. This is why governments and religion work hand in hand to control the masses, that would be you and me, and keep us compliant. The list is endless. We never run out of things to be afraid of. When we feel afraid, we tend not to think as rationally as we should. Our mind is constantly in the flight or fight mode. We then want someone to make it all better, of course. The people that say they can are invariably lying. It doesn't matter whether it is your government, your religious leaders, your head of state, your boss, or whoever. They are more than likely lying to you. It is not in their best interest for you to be a fully functioning human being because they couldn't control you then. Have you ever noticed when a population starts to get upset with its government, assuming it's a democracy, to the point where the government starts to get worried, then something always happens to distract the public. It might be a war or a terrorist attack. In Britain, for example, and much less bloodthirsty, one of the favourites is a royal wedding or a birth. Anything to distract the public and for them to point their noses elsewhere. It is like magic with smoke and mirrors. It is not that we are totally gullible, it is purely a matter of conditioning. Conditioning begins when we start life. We are taught what we can do and what we cannot do. We are taught right from wrong. Our thinking is limited because limitations are for our own safety. This is true, of course, up to a point. The problem is that the people who teach us can only work within their own limitations. This also means that we learn their good points and we learn their bad points too. As we mature, we are bombarded with advertising. The advertisements usually show what appear to be perfect people who live perfect lives, who purchase what they want when they want. They holiday in the best places and are surrounded by admiring people. We are reminded in no uncertain terms that we are not good enough, but that we can aspire to be like those beautiful people by spending what we do not have. Two things can then happen. We get into debt, or we feel frustrated at how unfair life is to us. Some then turn to unhealthy substances or actions like plastic surgery to alleviate the frustration you feel with life. Of course, they are just unhealthy sticking plasters that really solve nothing. Now I'd like to touch on the class system. Do not be fooled into thinking that wherever you live that there is no class system. It exists everywhere. The wealthy do not have to worry about having somewhere to live, healthcare, dental care, educational costs, retirement, holidays and so on. They are in a club that wishes to keep the working class people down where they belong. The super wealthy have an entourage of people to make every aspect of their life look good. Of course, most of it, if not all of it, is just surface. They shit and piss like everyone else, pardon the language. I use these words to remind you that we are all human beings. If all the money in the world disappeared, if electricity disappeared, who do you think would survive? Those that can, will, whereas those who talk and pay others to do their bidding would find it difficult. Do not get me wrong, though, the wealthy at all levels of ours too, they are not always the same as ours. In essence, we are led to believe that in order to be happy, we have to rely on external means. Again, we are being lied to. The dog-eat-dog world is the world in which most of us exist, and we believe it to be the real world. This is a world in which, like dogs, we live in a pack mentality, where the strong prosper and the weak are left with the scraps. Of course, it is dressed up as a civilized world where the strong create an illusion of fairness. To have power over another is an illusion. No one can have real power over us unless we give it to them. Take government as an example. They convince us that they will provide for the general populace, yet the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. As long as politicians are funded by their parties or wealthy sponsors, they will always toe the party line as they wish to stay in power. This applies to any politician, which, in case you forget, also applies to presidents as well. This means that true democracy is an illusion. Wealthy people pay money to keep politicians in power because they serve a useful function for them. If the politician doesn't comply, there are always others to take their place. So ask yourself honestly, when your politicians tell you that they are doing a great job for you, that the country is now much better because they are in control, look around. Do you see improvements in your standard of living? Has it got better or worse? Another sad laughing point for me is when the newsreader says something along the lines of, "The economy has grown by," "The country is in a much better position," etc. I question, who is in a much better position? For all this growth has gone somewhere, but it never really benefits those who have worked for it or need it, meaning it is always easier to live off the hard work of others. We are the seeds of our own dismay by promulgating such an unfair system. I watched a TV series recently, and it was a city populated mainly by slaves. The masters kept them in check by beatings, torture and killing. The slaves were encouraged by an outsider to rise up and overthrow their masters, which they did easily. We can learn from this. If enough of us wish for positive change, then we must work collectively to make it happen. It is the same with dictators. They can only rise to power if they have support. On their own and lacking support, they are nothing, so therefore they must convince others that they have what it takes to run the country for their benefit. This may start with bullyings or killings. It all starts with one person convincing another to give them power. At its root, it's all very animalistic. Thousands of years ago, this person then became a king or queen, giving their sycophants titles and land to rule over on their behalf. They then met another who was seeking power, the church, and they then became mutual back-scratchers where the church, on behalf of their God, declared royalty as God-given, and the royalty then promoted the church. They both seek to keep the masses subservient and ignorant at all costs, and God forbid that they should use their intelligence. We are taught by them what to think and what to be fearful of. Dictators are abhorrent, but at least they are more honest. They are not trying to pretend to be something they are not. They just don't care about anybody else or what they think or believe. Here are some pack leaders to think about. Royalty. They now do not even have to fight for their place at the top. Presidents, dictators, politicians, the church, and that's all religions. Company leaders, government management, leading civil servants, movie, rock and pop stars, newspaper and television management, anyone who assumes responsibility for others. Why do we give our individual power away? Because it is easier to be told what to think and what to do rather than think for ourselves. I'll now just touch on competition. We live in a society that promotes negative competition. Positive competition is a great system for helping people to find out what they can excel at, or not, as the case may be. If we learn positively from competition, then there are no losers, only winners, because those that are good at a particular discipline know it, and those who the discipline doesn't resonate with know that they can rule it out and move on to finding that which is good for them. It can destroy a person's self-confidence when they constantly feel like a loser, but the truth is that they have not yet found what they're good at. It is our system that is letting them down. Casting them aside is not worth the while. Think about the dog-eat-dog world and the bully. Like a pack of dogs who sense weakness in another, they attack and destroy. Have you ever been in that situation when a bully picks out another? At the same time, as if by magic, the bully's pets join in. If so, were you the bully, the pet, or the victim? In the dog-eat-dog world, might is right. Some of the constructed divisions to keep us divided are race, skin colour, religion, social status, competitive sport, wealth, being different, politics, immigrants, sex, someone to blame. Everyone else is to blame. Finally, our religious leaders in league with the power wielders would have us believe that the greatest gift from our Creator is free will, yet they do not want us to use it if it questions what they tell us to believe. Our greatest gift is self-determination. We have a choice in what we choose to believe. If we believe in the mumbo-jumbo fed to us by others who claim to know better than us, then that is our choice. We can, on the other hand, choose to be free thinkers in a world where our governments and religious leaders want an unthinking, dumbed-down population, where we are fed by the media distortion and lies, where we are fed a different sense of reality by wonderful-looking movies. The last true thing that is ours, no matter how others try to influence us, is our thoughts. They are uniquely ours, and in self-determination, we honour our Creator. If the Creator did not want us to think or reason or use logic or feel the inspiration to shape our lives, then we would be like those in the animal kingdom, controlled by impulse, unless it is tamed out of us. Live your life with love, hope, sincerity, courage, and the vision to see what is, and not what others would have us believe. To endeavour always to be the best version of ourselves, to be guided by our positive aspirations and not by the meaningless negative chatter that constantly surrounds us. Change can only happen when we first are open to it and then have the courage and determination to make it happen. Happiness is transitory, whereas self-determination is a natural right, as long as it does not involve intentionally hurting another. Go in peace. Thank you for joining me.